For privacy reasons, the names of individuals involved in this case have been changed. Stay tuned. In the early morning of November 13, 1974, at a peaceful house on the coast of Long Island, a massacre that shocked America occurred. 6 members of a family were brutally murdered while they slept. No one had time to fight back. The perpetrator was the eldest son, whom no one expected. But the horror lies not only in the murder. The mysteries surrounding this case, the conflicting statements, the strange phenomena, and the unsolved stories make this place one of the most gruesome cases in history. What really happened inside the house at 112 Ocean Avenue on that fateful night? And why, to this day, is the case still shrouded in a fog of confusion? Where every unsolved mystery contains secrets that want to be revealed, step into the darkness and explore them with us. Don't hesitate to leave a like as an encouragement for us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to update the most classic cases. At 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York, a massacre that shocked America took place, taking the lives of 6 members of the Richardson family. This house was the home of the Richardson family, a typical middle-class family, with Father Robert Richardson, owner of a car dealership, and Mother Linda Richardson, a devoted housewife. They lived with 4 children: Emily, 18 years old, Sophia, 13 years old, Jacob, 12 years old, and Nathan, 9 years old. However, in the early morning of November 13, 1974, everything ended in tragedy. The person who murdered them was none other than Ethan Richardson, the eldest son of the family, who was only 23 years old at that time. Between 3:00 and 3:30 in the morning, Ethan used a .35 Marlin rifle to shoot his parents and siblings to death right in their beds. Strangely, all the victims were killed without any signs of resistance, and the neighbors did not hear the gunshots, even though the gun did not have a silencer. After the crime, Ethan did not show any panic or remorse. He calmly showered, changed his clothes, and then threw away important evidence before going to work as usual. That evening, he ran into a bar near his house, pretending to panic and shouting that his family had been murdered. When the police arrived at the scene, they discovered a horrifying scene. All 6 victims were lying face down on their beds, shot to death while still wearing their pajamas. The massacre quickly shocked the entire United States, not only because of its brutality, but also because of the unsolved mysteries. Why did none of the victims resist or try to run away? Why did no one hear the gunshots? Did Ethan act alone? Or was there another force hidden behind the curtain of this tragedy? At approximately 3:15 a.m. on November 13, 1974, in the quiet darkness of 112 Ocean Avenue, Ethan Richardson quietly got out of bed, holding a loaded .35 Marlin rifle. He walked down the hallway, stopping in front of his parents' bedroom. Without hesitation, he pushed the door open and pointed the gun at the bed. Robert Richardson, 43, was sleeping soundly next to his wife, Linda Richardson, 42. Before they could realize what was happening, Ethan pulled the trigger. The sound of gunfire pierced the night as 2 bullets pierced Robert's back, killing him instantly. Linda woke up with a start, perhaps just in time to see her son for the last time before 2 more shots killed her. After killing his parents, Ethan moved to his siblings' rooms. He went room by room, coldly shooting them to death in their sleep. Emily Richardson, 18 years old, the oldest of the girls, was shot once in the head. Sophia Richardson, 13 years old, was killed in a similar manner with a single bullet to the back. Jacob Richardson, 12 years old, and Nathan Richardson, 9 years old, were each shot once in the head or back with no signs of struggle. All the victims were found lying face down on their beds, sleeping peacefully as if unaware of what was happening. Strangely, no one called for help or tried to run away. There were no signs of a struggle or panic in the house, and, more importantly, no neighbors heard the gunshots. This puzzled investigators. The .35 Marlin rifle was not equipped with a silencer, and in theory, the shot was loud enough to wake the entire neighborhood. However, all the witnesses around confirmed that they did not hear any unusual sounds that night. After killing his entire family in their sleep, Ethan Richardson showed no signs of panic or remorse. He calmly cleaned up the scene, checking each body to make sure there were no survivors. He then went into the bathroom, washed the blood off his hands and face, and changed into new clothes. His bloody shirt and the Marlin .35 rifle, the murder weapon, were carefully wrapped in a black plastic bag. It was still dark when Ethan left his house. He drove to Brooklyn, more than 30 kilometers from Amityville, and found a large sewer in a less populated area. After making sure no one was watching, he threw the bag containing the bloody clothes and the gun down. The trash and dirty water quickly washed away the important evidence. When he was done, he got in his car and drove back to Amityville as if nothing had happened. Even more surprisingly, Ethan continued to act like a normal person. He showed no signs of anxiety or fear. That morning, he went to work at his family's auto shop as usual. Co-workers said Ethan appeared completely calm, chatting and laughing as if nothing was wrong. No one in the shop noticed any signs that he had just committed a horrific massacre just hours earlier. However, that evening, Ethan began to carry out his next plan. Around 6:30 p.m., he ran into Henry's Bar, a familiar place near his home, with a panicked look on his face. He shouted to the crowd,
Help me, my parents have been shot dead."
The people in the bar immediately gathered around. They saw Ethan's pale face, his hands shaking as if he had just experienced a terrible shock. A group of men rushed after him to the Richardson house, where they quickly discovered the horrifying truth. Inside 112 Ocean Avenue, a gruesome scene unfolded before their eyes. 6 bodies lay motionless on the beds, their blood already dried. The smell of gunpowder and death still hung in the air. None of the people present could believe what they were seeing. One of them, trembling, picked up the phone and called the police. Minutes later, a patrol car, siren blaring, stopped right in front of the Richardson house. When the police officers entered, they immediately realized that this was not an ordinary murder, but a brutal massacre with strange and inexplicable details. Ethan, the sole survivor, initially appeared distraught, but his subsequent statements quickly raised the police's suspicions. When police arrived at the scene on the evening of November 13, 1974, Ethan Richardson appeared dazed and distraught. He held his head, trembling at the door, and repeatedly said that a stranger had broken into the house and killed his entire family. When officers asked for more details, Ethan said that he was lucky to have survived because he had slept in the basement the night before and had not heard anything. Initially, the police were skeptical of his story, but had no direct evidence to support it. They searched the entire house but found no signs of forced entry or traces of any strangers. The doors and windows were intact, with no signs of forced entry. This raised the question: if there had been an intruder, how could he have entered the house and left without leaving a trace? The anomalies continued to emerge when Ethan was taken to the police station for a more detailed statement. Initially, he claimed that the killer was a stranger, but when questioned about why no one in the neighborhood heard the gunshots, he began to appear confused. As the investigators continued to press him, Ethan kept changing his story, sometimes saying that there was an intruder, and other times saying that he did not remember anything. Finally, after hours of intense questioning, under pressure from the investigating officers and increasingly unfavorable evidence, Ethan collapsed at the table and admitted to the crime. He confessed that he had murdered his entire family that fateful night. Ethan said that the reason for his murder stemmed from long-standing conflicts in the family, especially with his father, Robert Richardson. According to Ethan, Robert was a hot-tempered, harsh man who often abused his children, especially Ethan. He described his childhood as a series of days of being tightly controlled, beaten, and humiliated. The conflict between father and son escalated as Ethan grew older, and at some point, he could not bear it any longer. In his confession, Ethan said that on the night of the murder, he felt a voice in his head urging him to act. He took the gun, walked into his parents' room, and shot without thinking much. After killing his parents, he continued to kill his younger siblings because he did not want to leave any witnesses. Another theory considered by the police is that Ethan may have used drugs that night. Some of his acquaintances said that Ethan had a history of using LSD and heroin. If so, he may have been in a state of mental instability, unable to control his actions when he murdered his family. However, later test results found no clear traces of stimulants in his body at the time of the crime. Ethan's confession shocked public opinion. One big question remains unanswered. Was this really just a murder due to family conflict? Or are there other mysteries hidden behind this bloody massacre? Ethan Richardson's trial began on October 14, 1975, in the Suffolk County Courthouse in New York. From the very beginning, the case attracted intense public and media attention. Many were shocked by the brutality of the massacre, especially given that all the victims were close relatives of the perpetrator. The courtroom was packed with people, from reporters to curious citizens, all eager to witness the trial of the perpetrator of one of the most horrific crimes in America. Ethan Richardson's defense attorney argued that his client was mentally ill and not fully aware of his actions when he committed the crime. They cited Ethan's history of substance abuse, combined with his father's abuse during his childhood, which had led to his unstable mental state, making him unable to control his actions. To strengthen this argument, the attorney requested an official psychiatric evaluation. However, after many investigations and interrogations, psychiatrists concluded that Ethan was completely sane at the time of the crime. The forensic report showed that he did not suffer from a serious mental disorder and was capable of understanding right from wrong. Furthermore, his actions after the crime, including bathing, changing clothes, hiding the weapon, and creating a fake crime scene, all showed deliberate calculation, not unconscious actions. With this evidence, the court rejected the defense that he lost control when committing the crime. Throughout the trial, Ethan maintained a cold demeanor, occasionally appearing sad but not showing much remorse. When the prosecutor described the massacre in detail and displayed photos of the crime scene, many people in the courtroom burst into tears, while Ethan just bowed his head in silence. On November 21, 1975, after reviewing all the evidence and testimony, the jury took less than 7 hours to reach a final verdict. Ethan Richardson was convicted of 6 counts of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to 6 consecutive life terms for a total of 150 years in prison. The judge stated,
"The defendant's actions are intolerable. This was a cold-blooded, premeditated massacre without any sign of remorse. Given the seriousness of the case, the court decided to impose the maximum sentence in order to protect the community and to ensure justice is served."
After the verdict was announced, Ethan remained calm, only nodding slightly. Several people present in the courtroom burst into tears, including the victims' relatives. Public opinion at the time was divided into 2 streams. One side believed the sentence was appropriate. The other still believed Ethan had psychological problems and deserved more leniency. After being sentenced, Ethan Richardson was transferred to Green Haven Correctional Facility, one of the highest security prisons in New York. In the following years, he rarely gave interviews or talked about the massacre, refusing all requests from the press. On March 12, 2021, after 46 years of serving his sentence, Ethan Richardson died in prison at the age of 69. The cause of death was not clearly disclosed, but according to the prison report, he died of natural causes. His death closed a dark chapter in American criminal history, but the mysteries surrounding the Amityville case continue to haunt the public to this day. The massacre at 112 Ocean Avenue not only shocked the United States, but also became one of the most gruesome and mysterious stories in the history of crime. Was this simply a family tragedy, or were there still unanswered questions? Why did no one hear the gunshots even though the Marlin 35 rifle did not have a silencer? Why were all the victims lying face down on the bed without any sign of resistance? And more importantly, were the mysterious phenomena that followed just a product of the imagination? Or was there really a force that controlled this house? To this day, the Amityville case still leaves many questions without satisfactory answers. What do you think? What is the truth behind these horrifying events? Share your thoughts. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this story and want to dive deeper into more intriguing mysteries, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.